Recording.
Well, I'm just on my way. I've just left the Burke Roadhouse at Four Ways, and
Device connected.
and I'm on my way to Mount Isa this morning. And after my ordeal last night, which I might relate along the way here, excuse me, and yeah, this is small town mentality, I guess, and small minds that can really put the scare into someone. So last night at about 9 p.m. I went out to get some cables, some charging cables off my bike, and there was two people in the dark, in the kind of the space between the dongas, and it's really dark there, you can't actually see anything, knocking on one of the cabin doors on the other side across the space from me. You know, I said to them, "Oh, do you need a torch or something?" I had a torch on me. "Do you need a light?" And they said no, and it was a guy and a woman. And so I thought, okay, and they carried on knocking, and I went to my bike, fiddled about there, and when I was just leaving my bike to come back, these two came around the corners. If they'd walked all the way around these dongas and come from the other side. And one the guy said to me, are you Gav?" I said, "Yes." He said, we need to have a chat to you." I said, "Oh?" He said, "Yeah, we're from the Mount Isa Child Protection Services." I thought, what? So I thought, well, there's got to be some mistaken identity here. So I said, "Sure. So can we just come into your room, you know, etc." So they did. And they said, "Oh, look, we're just responding to a complaint." So I said, "Are you looking for Gavin Kleinhans? Because there's got to be some mistaken identity here." And I said, "No, that's right, Gavin Kleinhans." I said, "Oh, all right." So then the real scary stuff starts. And they say to me, "Look, right now you are being detained, so you cannot leave this room, etc. We have a warrant, a search warrant to search your room and all its contents." And then they read me my rights. Now, my heart was going up at this stage at 90 to the dozen. I thought, what the hell is going on here? Child Protection Services for one, and I'm being read my rights for two. And you don't need to say anything. I said, well, all I want to ask at this stage is what this is all about. Because, you know, I think I have that right at least. He said, "Yes, I'll tell you in a moment." So then he said, "You asked me for my phone and any electronic recording devices," of which I have about a dozen for this trip. And and he says to me, "We've received a complaint from someone over the road at the rodeo that I was filming children." I said, "What?" "Yes, I was filming children, and they've put in a complaint." I said, "Well, I was filming over there, but I wasn't filming children. I didn't even see any children as far as I know." So anyway, he gets my password for my phone from me, and he starts going through my phone in minute detail. I mean, he stood there and he just paged, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of photos on my phone. And obviously WhatsApp messages and WhatsApp photos and you name it. So he's going through them very, very in minute detail, examining these. The lady policeman in the meantime said, look, can I search your bag and this and that, and they asked me if I had any knives or sharp objects or weapons, and this was just terrifying. So I said, look, I need some more detail on this. He said, well, there was a family near the children's, there was like an undercover children's play area with the usual equipment there. And there was a family nearby there, apparently, and she was changing her daughter or something along those lines, and I was filming them. And I said, well, no, I was not filming anything like that. I didn't even see a family with children there. So anyway, I knew straight off what he was referencing, because I had, while I was standing under this covered area looking at what was going on in the rodeo arena, I filmed that, my beer, and then I filmed out into the arena some shocking footage, but just terrible stuff, because I got the rail of the arena in the image more than I've got anything else. And then I stepped back under the cover, and there was, off to the left of me, there was this caravan thing that was selling pulled pork and brisket and real kind of cowboy food. So I pointed the camera at that, and I was filming that and commenting on it. And it turns out that in that image, in that filming, over to the left-hand side of the frame, there is a woman there with a child in her arms who's clearly naked, but with her back to me, and the woman's holding the child on her hip. So, you know, there's nothing you can see of this little child other than the child's probably got no clothes on. It's a fair way off as well, so it's not a very detailed view. And, you know, the jury's out whether this child was actually totally naked or not. Anyway, this woman then walks sort of across my frame to the right-hand side of the frame, but quite a ways off, and starts walking down. And as she sort of stops and half turns, and you can see her then take her phone out, and she starts phoning. And this is obviously the moment she decided, with a naked child in her arms, that I was the offensive one, and that I was filming this special flower of hers that she chose to parade around in this space naked. So this is something that just goes beyond belief. And I said to the police, so he eventually found this footage, and he saw that there was nothing in it, obviously, and you know, at that stage, he said to me, look, you know, we've got to respond to these calls, and we've got to take every one of them seriously. He said, and then they released me from my detained status, and I was then free to come and go. So anyway, I said, well, if you want, I'm more than happy, one, to let you have a copy of that footage, so you can take it to this person and let her see for itself that there was no such filming going on. And he said to that, he said, no, look, that's not necessary. we'll just get hold of them and tell her that what we've done. And then I said, alternatively, I'll delete that because it's shit footage, as you can see on top of it all. And he said, no, you don't even need to do that. It's all good. There's nothing untoward about what you've done there. And I said, well, Jesus, you just scared the bejesus out of me. This is stuff that people can just have a bloody heart attack over. My heart was literally pounding in my chest during all of this, because I thought, has someone planted something on me? Has someone made some accusation about me doing something? And I just couldn't put any of this together. So you literally shit yourself at this stage, because under these circumstances, when it comes to little children and 66-year-old grey-haired men on their own with a camera in their hand, well, it's open season right now. And I said to the policeman, I said, there are cameras everywhere. Everyone walks around with a camera on them. Everyone's filming stuff all the time. And, so I'm astounded that this incident, at the distance I was filming too, which was, I don't know, a good 15 meters away, that this is the issue. And he said, well, this is, you got to understand, this is a culture of people that are quite isolated, and they see a stranger around and blah, 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 and excuse. And it's just struck me, then my answer to that one is, the short answer is, don't walk around with your child naked. If that's your concern, that there's people around that are nefarious, the last thing you do is then walk around with your child naked, and then blame someone who's holding a camera for being offensive. It's just beyond belief. Now, it doesn't bother me in the slightest that this child was naked. Children run around on the beach naked, for God's sake. They go and swim, they cavort. It's fantastic. It doesn't make everyone that looks at them a fucking pervert. And on top of it all, I didn't look at the child. I didn't even know the child existed, because I was busy focusing on this tiny little screen on my my DJI Pocket 2 at what I was trying to film and where this lens was pointed, because at one stage it was even pointing at the ceiling. And so that's why the footage was so shit, because I'm trying to, with sunglasses on, see what's going on this 1" by 1" tiny little screen. And I'm expected to see in that the image of a distant child being held by its mother who's naked. So this has just floored me, where society has gotten to. And I fully accept parents need to be cautious, but this is just beyond the pale. It is beyond the pale. And these people are just too precious for their own words. The mother was holding the goddamn child, for God's sake. She had decided that naked was good. She had decided to then walk across this open space, this public space, with a naked child in her arms, and then decides then that I am some sort of pedophile pervert. Well, bullshit to that. I'm sick of this nannyism, this overprotectionism of everything. And sure, there are bad people around. I get it. Watch your children. But stop looking at everyone as if they are a bloody pervert. That's my rant for the morning.